After the plane crash, the man was trapped on a deserted island for 4 years. When he opened his eyes, he found himself on an uninhabited island. He searched everywhere on his body and found a pager. Unfortunately, it had been damaged by the seawater. He took out the pocket watch his girlfriend gave him. Although the watch was damaged, the photos inside were still intact. Will stood on the beach and shouted desperately, hoping that someone would hear him. But he could not hear anything except the sound of the waves. If he wanted to wait for rescue, he had to find a way to survive first. He found some coconuts on this island, but the shell of the wild coconut was too hard. He could not break it even if he tried his best to knock it. Fortunately, he found a very sharp stone. He used this stone to cut the outer skin of the coconut. He peeled off the skin layer by layer and then knocked it hard. The second time, Will became smarter and first sharpened the stone. He poked a small hole in the coconut and finally drank the sweet coconut juice. He wanted to go into the water to catch fish, but his hands were too weak when he threw the javelin. In order to figure out his situation, he climbed to the highest point of the island. This island was surrounded by seawater, not to mention the plain. There were even few birds. The moment he looked down, he saw a person floating on the sea. He looked closely and found that it was the pilot of the plane. He searched for shoes and a flashlight from the captain. Will used the flashlight to shine on the photo of his girlfriend. This was the only motivation to keep him alive. He and his girlfriend were often apart, but his girlfriend never complained. She always waited silently. Just before boarding the plane, his girlfriend gave him a pocket watch. He also gave him the engagement ring he had prepared. He originally planned to marry his girlfriend when he came back this time. He didn't expect fate to play such a trick on him. Will found several packages floating from the plane on the shore. He opened them one by one. The first one contained a volleyball. The second package contained divorce documents. Now there was only the last package left. Will was about to open it, but he hesitated when he saw the wing logo on it. This was his last hope. He could keep the idea of living if he didn't open it. He can now fish well on the beach. He began to try to make a fire by drilling wood and drew on the volleyball a smiling face. He also named it Jackson. This is his only friend on the island. Looking at the island where he had lived for 4 years, Will knew it was time to leave. The raft slowly moved away from the huge waves that covered the sky like a ferocious beast. But Will was not afraid at all. Instead, he felt more excited. Just when he thought he was about to return to the world like this, a storm shattered his fantasy again. He himself was swept into the surging waves. When Will woke up again, Jackson, who had been with him for 4 years, has been carried away by the sea. He threw away the oars and lay alone on the raft, prepared to quietly wait for the arrival of death. But hope always appears at the most desperate moment. Suddenly, a huge roar came from behind Will. He looked up and saw a huge ship. A month later, Will finally returned home. But God loves to play tricks on people. After 4 years of separation, the girlfriend he missed so much has become someone else's wife. Looking at life, the rusty pocket watch, and the photo of his girlfriend, he suddenly realized that everything had changed. It was time to return the things. He came to his girlfriend's door. When he was hesitating whether to knock on the door suddenly opened. The two chatted politely as if they had just met yesterday. But in between conversations, they always looked at each other quietly. The ex-girlfriend returned Will's car to him. The car was filled with the best memories of the two. Will drove away. The car drove very slowly, but the woman couldn't help the surging emotions in her heart. She rushed into the heavy rain. Will quickly backed the car back. The two hugged each other tightly. Anyone could see that they were still in love. But this is the cruelty of the adult world. They had to let go, even though they were reluctant. He took the last package. He came to the recipient's house. The yard was empty. Will wrote a thank you message. Then he gently put it down and turned away. He didn't know that it contained a waterproof solar-powered satellite communication device that could be automatically charged.